All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today we're going to be looking at some pretty unsettling information.
Yeah.
I've got a Homeland Security bulletin here
Okay.
and a whole bunch of recent FBI investigations, and they all point to something that I know is of particular interest to you
Interesting.
and all of our listeners, and that is the potential for copycat vehicle attacks.
Yeah. These types of attacks,
It's scary stuff.
they really capture the imagination, and
Yeah.
they're unfortunately increasingly common.
Right, and that's why we're here to sort of unpack it.
Absolutely.
So let's dive right in.
Okay.
The first thing that really struck me
Yeah.
when we were looking at all this material is this idea that these copycat attacks using vehicles,
Right.
they're not just a possibility.
Yeah.
They're considered likely.
It's a disturbing trend.
Yeah. What really stood out to you?
Well, I think one of the most fascinating and troubling aspects is this trend toward attacks that are both low-tech and high-impact.
Oh, wow.
The FBI reports are very clear on this point.
Okay.
The ease of acquiring a vehicle, the fact that it takes minimal skill to inflict serious damage,
Right.
it's a recipe that's sadly appealing to certain individuals.
It is a chilling thought. I
Yeah.
mean, does that mean we're essentially powerless
I-
to stop this kind of attack?
I wouldn't say powerless,
No.
but it definitely changes the game,
How so?
If you think about traditional security measures, airport screenings, metal detectors,
Right.
those are designed to catch specific threats.
Yeah.
But how do you screen for everyday objects like a vehicle that
Right.
suddenly become a weapon? It forces us to completely rethink our whole approach to security, both from a law enforcement perspective
Right.
and in terms of public awareness.
And, you talk about this idea of low-tech, high-impact attacks, and I immediately think of a few events in recent history where something as commonplace as a truck
Yeah,
became a tool of terror.
absolutely. And, without...
It really underscores how vulnerable we are.
It does. And those events, as horrific as they were, they become blueprints for copycats.
Wow.
Suddenly, the method is out there.
Right.
The impact is undeniable, and it doesn't require any specialized knowledge or resources.
That's a really dangerous combination.
It is.
So where do we go from here?
Well, yeah.
What can we do to mitigate this risk?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, because reading through these reports, I'll admit I feel overwhelmed.
I understand that feeling. It's natural to feel that way, but there are things we can do,
Okay.
both individually and collectively.
Okay.
So on a personal level, it's about vigilance,
Okay.
paying attention to your surroundings, especially in crowded areas,
Mm.
knowing the exits, trusting your gut if something feels off.
Yeah,
It sounds simple, but it can make all the difference.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about larger scale solutions?
Yeah.
I know you've talked about architectural and urban design changes
Yeah,
in the past. Can you give me an example of what that actually looks like?
absolutely. So think about the bollards you now see in pedestrian areas,
Okay.
or the way traffic flow is managed around government buildings or stadiums. These are intentional design choices aimed at creating physical barriers without turning these public spaces into fortresses.
Okay.
Even landscaping can play a role, strategically placed trees,
Oh, wow.
planters, benches.
Really?
They can all act as deterrents
Interesting.
while maintaining a welcoming environment.
See, this is what I love about doing these deep dives.
Yeah.
You start connecting these dots and realizing that solutions can be practical and elegant.
Right.
It's not just about building walls everywhere.
Exactly. It's about being smart and adaptable.
Exactly.
It's a delicate balance, finding ways to enhance security without sacrificing the openness that makes public spaces, vibrant and inviting.
This conversation is making me rethink my own routines, the places I go, how much attention I pay to my surroundings.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't really considered how vulnerable we are in everyday places.
Yeah.
What about you, listener? Are you thinking about your daily routines differently now? What stands out to you as impactful?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves regularly because
Yeah.
awareness is really the first line of defense.
So if we were to distill everything down to one key takeaway,
Okay.
it's that copycat vehicle attacks are a very real threat.
Yeah.
The accessibility of the method, the potential for widespread impact, it's a potent combination.
It is.
But as we've discussed, there are steps we can take to mitigate the risk.
Absolutely.
Vigilance in our daily lives, smarter design in our public spaces, and a constant reevaluation of how we approach security in a world where the everyday can become a weapon.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And here's a final thought-provoking question to leave you with. If attackers are increasingly drawn to easily obtainable tools and methods, what other seemingly harmless objects in our daily lives could be exploited?
Yeah.
What's hiding in plain sight that we haven't considered?
That's a great question for all of us to consider.
It is a chilling thought, but it just might help us stay one step ahead.
Food for thought.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Appreciate it.
Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.